Then we have one more, attack that we see that is called as SQL injection attack. What exactly is this SQL injection attack? So, is there anybody who knows SQL injection attack? Have you heard about this? Any of you? Yep, it's a website attack, definitely. All good. So, does hacker use credit card for fraudulent activities? So, Max will tell you something. Normally, this is not how the generation thing works, but what happens that I'll tell you. So, right now, the credit cards that are coming, normally you won't even be able to make the transactions like that. Mostly, we use the CC generator for creating kind of what I would say. Like we have some websites like Netflix used to give you 1 month of free trial, right? It used to give you 1 month of free trial if you put a credit card. But there are a lot of other websites as well where you will need a credit card to uh, take a free trial of let's say 6 months, of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Over there you can use these things. But what we have seen, like not right now, but in 2017, uh, these like this thing was there that you take a bin, you generate multiple cards, then there were websites where you can actually go and validate these cards, and some of cards were like you will see that some of cards were actually active. So yeah, I mean this thing was there back then, but right now I haven't seen this thing happening. But right now also we this thing I have seen, people usually use these cards for taking the free trials. There it still works for free trials.
But I think in this part of the world, and all, it's still happening every day. Some other cases are there.
But
Even
normally, so
yeah, even it is going through OTP now. I mean, OTP they stopped most of the bank. They're authenticating with this one app, the bank app itself. But last week, one of my friend had there's a problem. Even he approached the bank. What bank was saying that you authenticate with OTP, but in fact he didn't. It was around 17,000 dirhams, is a huge amount of money. But
oh, I'll tell
still
you
it
one very
happening.
interesting, Matthew. Like if you guys have noticed, like many of you would have noticed this, that when you are making a transaction outside of India, like even your bank won't ask you for OTP. Most of times they won't ask
Mhm.
you for OTP. So this is
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that even I have.
Online. Sometimes they don't ask. But yeah, when this fraudulent transaction happened, when this person uh, contacted his bank, what bank is saying that it is authenticated with a OTP, that is OTP authenticated transaction, but in fact it is not. But still,
Okay,
yeah.
but Matthew, what happens? What I have seen, I'm getting your point by the way.
Mhm.
If they are saying it and like if they're actually saying it, so there is a possibility. Many times, what I have seen, victims who fell for such things,
I, if,
usually they.
if there is any way you can clone your SIM or something, because since it's OTPs, they are saying that it is OTP is gone. Have you encountered in such situation in your?
No, no. I mean, SIM cloning that you're saying, mostly we do in forensics, where I want to get data out of that SIM, not for this kind of purpose. And normally, nobody can do it remotely, by the way. I mean, nobody can do something like this. What I'm trying to say right now is maybe he fell for some phishing, because this thing I have seen where you like this happened with one of my like aunt only. So what happened? She received one message on her phone related to her bank. She clicked on the link. It looked like a actual SBI bank page, and there she got the option to log in. So when she was trying to log in, it asked for OTP, and because she thought it is bank only, she
Mhm.
entered the OTP also. So these kind of things also happen where you will be getting into a phishing attack, but it looks so legit that maybe same thing could have happened with the friend you have,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he
yeah.
actually
But
fell for this kind of thing.
yes, but he's a smart guy also. But I don't know. He approached me also.
Hey,
But
but it happens. I mean,
likewise, there was a client like we
mm,
had. It's a company credit card that only the owner had the OTP, like the authentication for that. But I don't know how happened. The investigation is still going on. They are thinking that there might be someone who cloned the number or something because when someone else got that number, it reached another person. It didn't reach the CEO with the same number,
Oh.
but only one time.
Mhm.
And after that, it went directly to the CEO. But after this fraud happened and they found out, they tried to call that number. This number was kept only for the credit card. He doesn't use it for personal reasons or office things. He used it only for the credit card. And that somehow somebody cloned that number, or I don't know how. The investigation is still going on. We are waiting for a result on that. Been going on for 3 months now. It's a huge amount.
Mhm.
Now that's why banks are stopped this SMS OTP. They are now going to this one app, the
App
Authenticator.
OTP,
yeah, app authentication. Yeah.
authenticator. Yeah, TOTP.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just,
Right, right. Yeah, I would love to know more, Prabhu, when you have the update on this thing, how it happened.
Yeah, I'm also
Right.
waiting to see what's going to happen.
All right, all right. Some of the accounts are booked. Yeah, this happened. That is common, Cindy. That I can tell you. That is common.
Microsoft has become a common target now. Microsoft has become very common now. A lot of people are getting attacked, even with the authenticator. Even though they have authenticator, somehow there's a breach. I don't know how.
Right. Okay. All right. All right.
They even can change the mobile number of the user and they receive SMS. I don't know how they can change. Only administrator has an authority to change.
So there are two things, two options. Like something happens at your end that is under your control. Many times, if you have seen in YouTube also, like I have seen this thing happening a lot of time. Many YouTuber, their YouTube gets hacked, but how exactly? Most of the times, that thing happens via Google only. I mean, from YouTube itself. Even they don't know. So there will be many things that are under your control, where the actual the victim that we have, he has done some mistake, but there are again instances where the things that happened didn't happen because of this individual, but from the company's end. So yeah, that is also a
But I
possibility.
wonder but I wonder how it's going through without the authenticator. The 2FA is there already. So without the user knowing, these things are happening. That's the weird thing.
So, for example, I'll tell you something, Prabhu. Right now, for example, when moving forward, we do some practicals. You will see one thing that let's say we have a system that is very much secure. Everything is there, right? Everything is very good. But now that is not the only entry point. It may seem like that is the only way to enter, but we will compromise some other vulnerability that like there is some vulnerability into the system that you will compromise, and again you will have the full control over the system. So it's not about getting from the main door, but there can be some side channels as well from where you can actually take the entry,
Right.
some weaknesses like that. So that is the thing.
The cookies
I
and
mean,
things, right?
a
Right?
lot of things are there, right? From, for example,
Yeah.
you're into a website, you're on a website and you hack the server from the website itself. There was a vulnerability using which you performed the remote code execution on the server, and now you have the access to that specific server. So that is the thing. For example, in SQL injection attack also, if a website is vulnerable to SQL injection, uh, using, for example, SQL map also, you can upload a shell within that server by exploiting this vulnerability only. So from SQL to RC is also something that is very common, right? So yeah, first of all, let's understand what this SQL injection attack is. SQL injection is a cyber attack. It occurs when an attacker maliciously inserts SQL code within input field of a web application. This attack exploits vulnerabilities in poorly sanitized user inputs. It allows the attacker to execute unauthorized SQL queries on the application's database. The primary goal of an SQL injection attack is to gain unauthorized access to the database. So first of all, to understand SQL injection, you need to understand the SQL, what SQL is. So is there anybody who knows what SQL is? Anybody from development background maybe? So SQL is nothing but your database where your data will be stored. SQL language. Yep. To manage your database, you'll use SQL. Your language you will use SQL queries you will run. So whenever you visit any website, the website will be connected with some sort of database. It can be your MongoDB. It can be your and SQL injection also happen on LAN as in, okay, maybe if you have your internal application, Sandeep, definitely, because it is a vulnerability at the application level, right? So if it is an internal application, definitely it can happen, no doubt. Yeah. So SQL injection is the type of attack. Oh, right, all right, fine. So whenever you visit any website, it will be connected to some sort of database. It can be your normal, Microsoft, what I would say, your normal your MongoDB can be there, your Postgres can be there, or these are some databases that we have. So right now the difference between your normal MongoDB and SQL is, in MongoDB the data is stored in your like JSON data will be stored, whereas in uh, SQL the data is stored in your this kind of form, this kind of your in the form of your tables, you can say, right? Database, like the data will be stored in your rows and columns. So this is the thing that you will see. So now what happens whenever you visit any website? For example, let me open some website over here. If I open Skill Driver, for example, or let me open another, we will be seeing it right. Definitely, Sandeep, we will be performing. See, whatever attacks we are discussing right now, most of attacks we will perform. Like, for example, the only issue is with DDoS because you need a lot of systems to perform the attack. But DDoS also I will try to show you within our controlled environment. Other than that, whatever attacks we are discussing, we will do all of these, right? So, for example, this website I have right now, ludhianaonline.com. So this website is vulnerable to SQL. If I tell you on all of these input fields that it has, it is vulnerable. But let me first of all tell you how this thing works. So, for example, if you see this website, they have this login page, right, where these two input fields we have. So I'll be putting ID password over here. I'll click on login, and what exactly is happening right now? Whatever ID password I will put over here, the request will go to the database. There will be some query that will be used, and the request will go to the database, and then from database it will match the user ID and password. If the user ID and password is same, it will give me the authentication token, and I'll be able to do my task. But yeah, the request at the end is going to the your SQL server. I know this website is using SQL in the backend as a database, so the request will go to your SQL database. And what happens now? So whenever any communication happens, you want to fetch some data from somewhere, you want to download some file, you want to upload some file, eventually all this data will come and go to the database only, right? So when we are talking about SQL injection attack, we are doing what? The website to communicate with database. I will tell you, Prabhu. Yes, definitely I'll tell you. For your website to communicate with your database, it is using specific kind of query language. That is your SQL query language that we use, right? So now what we are trying to do is, for example, whenever I put anything over here, whatever I will type over here, if I type hello and press on search, there will be some SQL query that will be running in the background to fetch this information from the database. Now I don't know what kind of query it is, but in SQL injection attack, we try to manipulate that query. We try to manipulate the input field. We try to manipulate the SQL query. That usually what happens, if I type hello, it should give me data that is relevant to hello only. But what I will do, instead of typing hello, I will try to look for some very sensitive information, right? So that is the thing, we are talking about. 1 second. How to find that it is using SQL as a database? All right. First thing is, let me show you one very interesting thing right now. So I go to this website, ludhianaonline.com. Okay. So right now, we start from here. I try to get like as much information as I can. So right now, you can see it says the web server that it is using in the backend, that is your NGINX. So these are the languages it is using. So there are extensions like these that you can use for that. For your database, what you can do, take any input field. We will capture this request. Like there is a tool called as burp suit that we will be using when we are performing our web application penetration testing. So what we will do, we will capture the request whenever we put any input, we capture the request, and on that input field, we will run our specific kind of tools like SQL map. At the end, SQL map is doing what? It will be putting different kind of queries over here. It will try to break. Okay, can you see it? Can you see it right now? Just read this thing that you are getting over here. Read the error message you are getting. So this is also one vulnerability that you can see. Just read what error it is showing. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL server version for the right syntax. So this is also one vulnerability that the website is having. That is your information disclosure, vulnerability disclosure. So it should not show you the errors like this, right? So this is the thing. But yeah, we try to break the SQL queries by putting these kind of special characters. I mean, you try to put a single quote to break that query. When we do the practical, you will see this thing as well. So this will be the first thing that you will check. You will test, if it is using your SQL at the backend, right? So that is the thing.
Sorry, sir. Will you please do it once again?
Yeah, sure. So normally what happens, Hari, you put anything over here, you search for, let's say, if I type one second, bike. So normally this is what I will do. It will show me all the results related to bikes, right? So right now, what exactly I'll do, instead of typing bike, I will just type a single quote over here.
Okay, special
So what
character.
does it? Yes, special character. So it says you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL server. So from here itself, you can see, that it is SQL server. But normally, what happens? Typing these kind of special characters will break your SQL query, and you will see very unusual kind of results. You will see unusual kind of results when you're using burp suit. The response that you will be getting from the application, that will be very unusual. So from there you understand, okay, that something is wrong, and you balance out your query, and then you start running your SQL queries. So we will do a practical on this as well, moving forward.
And that means in this prompt also there is disclosing that which kind of database you using. Those kind of and things has been explored, right?
Correct. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is also one vulnerability that is there.
Yeah.
That these folks don't know that they should not tell this thing to the end user.
Okay, got it.
All right. But you won't find this thing in all the websites, but in many websites you will definitely see this thing happening.
Okay.
Right. All right. 1 second. Where we are? Yeah. So what exactly we do in SQL injection attack? What we try to do is we try to find out, we try to extract very sensitive information from the database that you should not get. Right now, what should happen? I should not be able to put any these kind of things in the search query. I should not be able to execute these things. There should be some sort of what I would say input validation in place, right? For example, right now let me open my file very quickly. Okay, this is also one attack that I have performed only. This is your XSS attack, right? So this website has multiple vulnerabilities. If I tell you, moving forward, we will discuss these things, but we won't perform everything over here. It is actually a live website of somebody else. I don't know. But yeah, this is what your SQL injection attack is, where you run specific kind of SQL queries to get some, very sensitive information from the database. So it is a database level, vulnerability that you have, that you are not properly, sanitizing the user input. So we will do this in a practical, so don't worry about that. Let me show you one thing, how the end results looks like when you're using, SQL map, when you're performing the SQL injection attack. So this kind of things you will see when we are performing the SQL injection attack, right? You'll be able to see all the databases that are there. You can use HackTheBox. Definitely, Sandeep, we can use HackTheBox. But mostly, what I will do, I will be we will set up a metasploitable in our system, and other we will use a WASP juice shop. So we will use BWAP and all these things for this thing. Yeah. And we will also use TryHackMe platform, for some of the labs. So this is how your normal SQL injection attack will look like, that you'll be able to first of all see all the databases that are available to you. Then from this database, you will try to see the, what other, different your tables you have. Then you will try to dump all the data from those tables. So like you get full-fledged access. If the website has a SQL injection vulnerability, that means you can access each and everything within their database. That is the thing. Then comes the sniffing, how to protect also. Yeah, definitely, Sandeep, definitely. A basic implementation is the sanitizing the user input. You need to make sure that you are sanitizing user input and in the both at your front end and at the back end level. So this is the main thing that we have to do. Yeah. But I definitely will discuss in details as well. So then comes the sniffing. So what exactly is the sniffing? It occurs when the attacker examines whole network traffic as it passes through their NIC, independent of whether or not the traffic is addressed to them or not. Have you guys heard of this term sniffing? Have you heard of this before? There are 2-3 ways to perform the sniffing. Correct, correct. So what exactly we are doing? So for example, in sniffing, what happens? I'll tell you some interesting things about sniffing as well. So normally, for example, if all of these devices that you see over here are connected to a hub, usually this won't happen in today's scenario. Right now, these things don't work. But yeah, let's say, these devices are connected to a hub, and this guy right here, sitting over here, he is a hacker with some very bad intentions, right? So now this guy will do what? He will use tool like Wireshark. Sorry. Yeah, my handwriting is looking very poor over here. But yeah, then we have TCP dump. So these are some of the tools that he can use. But what exactly these tools will do? Using these tools, basically, he can monitor all the network traffic that is moving within the network. The hub has this functionality that it will broadcast data packets to each and everybody that is there on the network. It is not a hub is not smart, so it broadcasts data to everybody. So this fellow over here will be able to see data that is being sent to this guy as well, to this guy as well, to everybody that you see over here. Is something wrong with this thing? Correct, correct, correct. Guys, I don't know, facing some issue with this thing. Just give me a moment. My this pen is not working properly. Excel draw from. Sure, Sandeep. Normally I use OneNote for this thing. I just don't know. I'm facing some very. I'm facing some issues over here. 1 second. Yeah, just a moment. My system is lagging. I don't know why. Guys, I think I will need to restart the system. Maybe I don't know. Like this is the first time it is happening like this. So sniffing is nothing but capturing network traffic. What we try to do is we try to monitor whatever communication is happening within a network. We try to capture that, right? So right now, for example, we have a tool called Wireshark. I open Wireshark right now. For example, if I'm connected to Wi-Fi, I will select this as my network interface and I'll start the communication. So right now you can see one thing. So what is this UDP, by the way? Most probably it is the Google Meet, where we are communicating over Google Meet. So this connection is happening, the data transfer is happening via UDP. That's why you are getting a lot of UDP packets over here. Right. So right now, what my system is doing, whatever data is going out from my system or whatever data I'm receiving over here, I'll be getting all that data over here. Right. So normally at a corporate level in an organization, I am in an organization where I have multiple systems. So sniffing is attack where attacker tries to read this network traffic for other people as well. If you're doing it for your own system, fine. But if you try to do it for other machines as well, so that is what your sniffing is. That without their permission, you are trying to read the data, and you're trying to compromise the information that, like, whatever things they are doing, you're trying to just read each and everything. So how exactly this thing usually works? Normally, if I run a Wireshark right now in my system, I won't be receiving data of other people who are there on the same network. The reason is normally, the switch, the firewall right now, sorry, the switch and the routers we have right now, there is a something called as ARP, right? We have a ARP table that data will be sent to the only individual to whom it belongs because of the ARP table. So at your using your MAC address, for example, a private IP will be assigned to you, and to your IP only, to your system only, the data will be delivered. Whatever message you send, the data will be sent back to you only. So right now, whatever communication I am doing, I can only see my own data. But what about others? How can I see other people's data as well? First thing is, if you are in a network where they are still using a hub, instead of using a switch, they are using a hub. So hub has this thing. Hub sends and broadcasts data to everybody. It is very outdated though, but still, if our organization is still using a hub in their network, that means you can read you can read all the data because hub broadcasts everything to everybody. Second thing is, let's say they are using a switch. Now switch has a ARP table. So you will have to perform two attacks over here. One is your ARP flooding or ARP poisoning, you can say. If I do ARP poisoning, then also I can do this thing. So using ARP poisoning, what exactly I'm doing? So let's say there are some people over here. Let's do it very quickly. I have for example, let's say this is one router that we have over here, right? This is a router. This is Alex. This is a router. This is Alex. Alex wants to visit some website. Alex wants to send some data outside. So Alex will actually communicate with this router over here like this. Okay. So Alex communicates with this router to send some data outside or to receive any kind of data. But how exactly this thing works? How exactly Alex will know who is router? How will a router know who is Alex? So this router also have a ARP table that it will maintain. Alex also have a ARP table that it will maintain. Correct. And whenever a new device is connected to the network, it will send the ARP messages to everybody that who owns this IP address, who owns this IP address. This kind of ARP messages will send. And now normally when Alex came in the network, Alex sent Alex devices sent that who has this IP address, like who is the router, for example. Now to Alex, this guy over here, his name is Mr. Hacker. So now this hacker gives back a ARP response. So basically what he's trying to do over here is, this hacker is trying to do, he gave a false entry into this Alex ARP table. Similar thing happened over here also in router also. To router, this hacker said that I'm Alex. So right now, as per router, this is Alex. As per Alex, this is router. So now whatever communication will happen, it will happen from here to here and then here to here. Now you can intercept all the traffic. So this is also one way, but you have to take two steps when you are doing something like this. Or you do the ARP flooding. That means like you have done, like this router that we have over here. You have filled all the all the table. Now router is not able to hold any information anymore. So whatever data it is receiving, it is sending that data outside to everybody. So it will act as a hub then. So there are ways to make this thing happen as well. But yeah, most straightforward way would be this one. If they are using hub, then it is very straightforward. Or else you'll have to put some extra efforts to do this thing. And I will show you how this ARP spoofing thing works and how we can perform. But I will also show you the DNS spoofing as well. So I mean, there are a lot of things we will perform moving forward. But yeah, so this is how it is done. Right. There is one more way at the network level that can be done. For example, you have a router over here. So somebody if uses a network tap, if you guys know, if you have heard of this, there is something called as network tap as well, that we use. So network tap normally you use to mirror all the network traffic. So via network tap also it can be done that if our organization has a network tap, so using this network tap also they can do the monitoring and data sniffing. Yeah, right. So this is also something that is there. But yeah, again, see right now these things that we are discussing right now, we will discuss in very much details when we cover our network fundamentals module, network security module. Right now, I just wanted to tell you what this sniffing is. And yeah, so that is the thing. So meanwhile, if you have any question, any doubt, you guys are free to ask. All right.